No. They're pretty good. This camera is a little better. Oh, what's that? All right, folks. Sounds like we're ready to get started with the applause. Yay. All right. Welcome to the HACKATHON finale and final presentations. Getting started, we are streaming live to YouTube and ready to go. Okay, so like I said, lunch is served, so if you want to get a snack while you're watching, go ahead. Otherwise, feel free to join up here. We'll get going. Okay. So this is our 9th hackathon. Started back maybe 5-6 years ago. Hey, you guys want to join us? Or at least keep down to a dull roar. Okay, like I was saying, started well. Yeah, you can put it on the share drive, or you can just be fine too. Thanks. Any other questions before we get started? Okay, I'm starting. Fair warning? All right. Okay, like I was saying, it's our 9th. We had a great weekend for those joining us today. Lots of fun. Folks worked really hard last night, and even this morning getting all the presentations together. I'm Brett Tackberry, and I'm joined with Brandon Brule. We're the organizers for this weekend. This is, I'm Brett, you see me here, but Brandon is just over there. I'm the technology director at Rebel.com. We're a hosting company, the domain name registrar. Amongst selling, great hosting products, we also give back and help support some of these projects that are coming out of the HACKATHON, other projects that are also doing great things. We provide the hosting, domain names, and even some other services for them. And you can reach me, of course, on Twitter and all those social media things. Brandon works at Banknote in the R&D department doing some high-tech identity stuff, and you can reach him there. And of course, you can ask us any questions while we are here. But what is Random Hacks Finance and why do we do this? It's a hackathon for social good. Whether or not you may not feel like all the fun and excitement, you are actually doing good, and you're working hard and using your expertise and all these things that you know well. But you're doing great things. You're building it with great organizations. Some of the pitfalls of when folks want to give back or think that they can solve someone else's problems. The biggest mistake is to think that someone else's universe or how they think or what the problems are. So you want to be inclusive of those who you're trying to help, of course. But it seems silly, but it's an important part of it, and it's part of the ethos of the hackathon. And we build with so that we can empower these great organizations through technology and bring these opportunities to them. All these technologies, all these great things that you do as engineers every day, not everyone has access to it. And what we try to do here is help bring that to these organizations. But what we're also doing, though, and this is what I like most about this, is that this concept, we're empowering citizens to give back and help and be a part of society, make society better. If there's something that you don't like or you're not content with, something that bugs you, you can fix it. You can fix it by helping out, by just participating in society. And this is one of those contracts. You have great skills, and you have the passion, but maybe the question is you don't know quite what to do with it. And so this contract is an experiment, it's an ongoing experiment on how to help citizens give back and participate. And there's lots of ways to participate. But what we're doing here today is we're trying to bridge that gap between technology, digital, all these fantastic technology resources, and not-for-profits and social enterprises, and all the great people doing great things. A lot of the time, when doing great things, you don't have the time to stay up to date with the latest technology or the education or what you can do with it. And we're trying to mesh those two things together, bring them together. And there's, of course, there's lots of other activities going on, but this is one. This is one. The reality is that, we see we're part of the future, we're building the future and all that, but there's a great saying that I always come back to. It's, the future is here. It's right in our hands, but it's just not evenly distributed. Not everyone has access to that, the opportunities and that technology brings. So the hackathon fills that space. This hackathon fills that space. What we do through this hackathon, through this channel, we connect problem owners of the community, developers, folks that are making the difference, with developers, UX designers, data scientists, folks that enjoy problems, that thrive on the challenges. The problem isn't really the hurdle, the problem is the excitement. The problem is what gets them up in the morning. And those that love building. But we're not here to be in the middle. We're not here to own the solution. We just want to make the connection. We just want to make the connection and then move on, or have these great, problem solvers, all you folks, connecting and being a part of the solution, being, really understanding what the problem is, and learning a little bit more of what, goes on in society, all those other parts of society that you don't see every day. And we do that through a hackathon. Like I said, there's other ways to connect, but this is the way that we're doing it. And we've made some really great progress over the years. Like I said, 10 hackathons, 6 projects per hackathon, 60 projects. Now, not every project goes on to launch, but even if we said 10 or 20%, we're still looking at upwards around 10 projects that have launched because of this. And that's actually a pretty good rate. You talk to anyone else that runs a hackathon, that's actually a fantastic rate of delivering value. So in the early days, the Ladies Learning Code job board was started at Random Hacks of Kindness. It's a job board, and it's still up and running today. Compass, this is a learning platform for those students at high school age that have chosen not to go to high school and they want to manage their own high school education career. This is Compass is a program that helps those children with self-directed learning, and this is a portal where the folks, where these kids can manage their own portfolios. The Ottawa Social Enterprise, the Center for Social Enterprise Development in Ottawa, they have a directory that has a list of all social enterprises in Ottawa. This was developed at Random Hacks of Kindness. These folks, a couple hackathons ago, developed an IoT beehive monitor. They've been taking this into production and turning this into a business. This is from a Ottawa Citizen article. They're trying to get traction. it's great. It's fantastic. We're generating economy and good ideas and smart and these social enterprises. Like, it's not just charity. We're not just giving back time. Like, they're creating business opportunity, creating money, and creating value. All good stuff. Even other things that come out of the hackathon, small little applications like this integration between Canada Helps and Salesforce. It helps Ten Oaks manage their donors better. All the donations that happen kind of help. Canada Helps goes automatically in Salesforce. All good stuff. The Refugee Hub from 2 sessions ago, and Michael played a big role in this one. This is a LMS for lawyers who are giving their time back to help refugees and their personal, their
private sponsored groups.
Private sponsors. Thank you. And Amy works there too, and so that's kind of the connection too. But it's up and running right now, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, amazing. And a story coming out of just the last hackathon. We have Growing Futures, and they're back here today, and they're going to show what further progress they made on this neat little product. This is an IoT grow hydroponic tower device that measures pH and water flow of the pump, temperature, and it has water level. Make sure it's running. You can imagine with 50 or 60 remote grow towers that it's hard to manage all these devices. And so with this device, they can sense if there's a problem and then deploy fixes to it. Amazing stuff, like fantastic stuff that came out of this hackathon. So this year, great projects. Like I said, Growing Futures is back. We have Velo Vanier. We'll be hearing today from Velo Vanier, a bike share program, or the Vanier Resource Center. Street Smart, and we'll hear from about the program there that they're trying to empower and mentor youth on the streets. Global Horizons, a mentoring program, mentoring and sponsorship, scholarship program for young women, and OCASC, the Ottawa Carleton Association of School Councils, right?
Assembly.
What?
Ottawa Carleton Assembly.
Assembly of School Councils. And again, a great channel for parents to contribute to the learning of their children in the school through school councils. Yeah, great projects, and we'll hear from them all today. Sponsors, thank you to all of our sponsors. A lot of them are here. Some of them are here today. Adobe is providing this fantastic venue, and it's really great. It's a world-class venue. Some of our other venues in the past have been, great, and some a little rough, but this has been a fantastic home for the last couple of years. Rebel, I work at Rebel, and we have some Rebels here today, and Click, and Ray and Tamimi. These are here somewhere. Great supporter, thank you. And don't forget to pick up your scarves, your Click scarves, and you'll definitely see them in the group photo. They're very orange and Extreme. Paul, thank you for all your support with the network. And janitor and general help, yeah, and general help. But thanks for helping and providing the Wi-Fi for the weekend. And we have some local agencies like Smith and Industrial who've always happy to help out. And of course, Brandon works at Main Banknote, and AWS provides a lot of credits for us to use their cloud to deploy our amazing projects. Before I hand it over to the projects, October 22nd. Who knows what happens on October 22nd? We got one person. We vote on October 22nd. This is the number one, the first thing you can do to participate in society is vote, and it's super important, and it's exciting. I love voting. I mean, I always say at a rush after coming out voting, I can change something, I can be a part of it. So if you have, I mean, I've already voted because I can't pass up the early poll and get into it. But since they're closed now, October 22nd, be a part of it. It takes like 10 minutes to prepare. Read the platform quickly on the website, for the mayor, for your councilor, and then the trustees. Just read the platform too. You always there's the survey. Their debates are online too, so you can get a quick intro from all your sort of councilor folks. Yeah, and just do it. We had actually the project you saw, Refugee Hub, was led by Emily Coyle. She's running for Ward 9 College Ward, and so she's a friend of the HACKATHON. So she's running. It's amazing, and we always have Mathieu Fleury come out to this HACKATHon. I mean, I'm going to grant he's probably busy today, ready for next weekend and all, but he always comes out. He's always out in the community, so he's a good friend too. But go check it out, spend the time, go vote. All right. Cool. Okay, so now with that, I am going to hand it over to the projects. So we're going to start off with Global Horizons. Come on up now, and we'll get started. So if you probably have 30 seconds if you want to get some coffee or a sandwich. But we're on to the projects. Thank you. Well, you probably have. Okay. So this is like you have to the outside of the.
Okay.
What you see. So yeah, that's gonna. So what I can do is I'll hide that view, so you're all there, and then you should see.
Is that on stage?
Is it in the drive?
Yeah, so for our project number. But I updated it. So for project 6.
In Slack then?
Yeah, it's in Slack.
Okay.
It just.
This one? Oh, on Adobe?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Sure, no problem.
I actually I put the link onto the presentation. Oh, okay. Awesome. Okay, that's the link to the website. It's just on there.
So do you want this or not?
In the
Oh, that's the
that's
the
the
link.
website prototype. Sorry, in the drive we have a.
Yeah.
We should just put it in Slack.
Okay.
Do you want me to go run and put it in Slack right now? Would you like me to do that?
So, we'll just get this up here. Oh, you gotta drag it across like 2 screens here.
No, that's not what we're doing right now.
That's not what you're doing right now?
Well, we will eventually.
You will eventually,
We
so I'll
will
just put it here.
eventually.
Okay, let's start that with that, okay? Which looks nice. And I'm going to also.
That's the Adobe. That's it. It's not the actual Slack.
Yeah, but so somebody will.
So this, which is.
Yeah, it is
This one?
clickable. Like you can click on things, but it's just.
And there's one more website that we could put up as
Okay,
well.
which one?
So
That is in Slack.
can we type
It
something?
should be linked.
Oh, take away.
So landing for is it Horizons? Horizons with
Yeah,
an
that's
S.
it.
That's it.
Really? Oh, that was so nice.
So that'll be the live demo.
Okay, so let me put this on the screen. And then, so what I suggest.
So we'll tab through this.
Yeah, so since it's like way over on other screens, just go to Window.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure. Okay, so
Please use the slideshow.
yeah, you can.
I like all the little creatures.
Okay. Alright, and here's the slideshow. So if you can.
We'll just you can tab.
Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna leave the mouse here. Okay. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna leave the mouse here. So you can just tab over and just escape to. Okay. Excellent. You might have to just make go without the mouse.
We should probably just. We could just.
I didn't quite get that going.
We could just use notes.
I don't know where you'd see it. Ah, there you go. Now you're thinking.
But it'll be kind of hard to.
No, this is a good point. Just
Because the mouse, so the mouse has to go this way in order to get there. Is that correct?
yes, go to the left. 2 screens. Okay, see here's the mouse. Yeah, I don't know how you're gonna do that both. You have to make this. All right. Okay. Over to you.
I got first.
Right. Hi, everybody. We are the team for Global Horizons. So we're just going to jump in and explain to you where we started, how we tackled the problem, and then show you what we ended up with and the result that we came out with today. So, jumping straight in. The problem that we started out with yesterday morning was there are women and female identifying people in rural and remote areas of Canada who come from a range of diverse backgrounds, who have big ideas to contribute towards social change, creating positive social change, but they might not necessarily have the means or the resources to make their dreams and objectives a reality. So we need a way to connect them with mentors who do have the knowledge and experience to support them and guide them and make their goals actualized. So we'll tell you now the requirements that we identified.
So we were tasked with creating a platform that would facilitate connections between these potential mentees and mentors that otherwise wouldn't meet. And how we tackled this problem is we first began by identifying this demographic and creating personas or profiles for who we thought potential mentees and mentors might be. So women, identifying women who are from rural areas or have a connection to other women from rural areas.
After that, we had to develop our requirements to achieve our goals, and we started Saturday morning with a lot of ideas in our heads. We kind of took a little while to narrow it down and decide really what we wanted to focus on this weekend. And for that, we decided on a website where a mentee could log in, see a list of mentors, and be able to filter through their interests or similar hometowns, be able to find a mentor who they think would be a good match. After that, we began designing. So we started with just a simple storyboard, as you can see up here, and kind of going through the end-to-end process of where the user would start when they'd log on and how they'd eventually get to the goal of matching with a mentor and connecting with them. After this, we drew out a whole bunch of designs of what we wanted the UI to look like and took the key points from those different designs and put them into one of our final prototypes. And then we made some online prototypes using Envision and Adobe XD, so we could kind of go through the mock-up of how the site would link together so we could code it.
So once we had requirements and mock-ups, we looked at potential solutions. We looked at commercial solutions. For the most part, these were either too expensive or didn't fit our use case properly or weren't possible to implement in the span of the hackathon. We looked at open source solutions. There was one solution that we attempted to develop for quite some time, but ended up running into some technical challenges. And then we eventually settled on a WordPress plugin that we could customize to fit our use case, and that would integrate with the existing website, which is written in WordPress.
So the final solution we have is a WordPress site. Basically, we used the plugin called Ultimate Member, which I think was meeting about 90% of the user requirements. There are a few things, for example, our main user wanted to make sure that mentees could only email one mentor, and then it would kind of block them from emailing any further. We were not able to meet that requirement, but everything else seems to work pretty well. So we're using WordPress. We have the team is called Ascend, and we're also using Elementor, which is like a page builder for our solution.
Us in action.
Look at us.
So I guess before we show the full website, this was one of the prototypes we did on Adobe XD.
Perfect. So we kind of sketched something out, and then I put into Adobe XD just a kind of general design. So this is supposed to be a video, but it, let me just go to the comment. How do I see my mouse? Oh. Okay. So yeah, this was just kind of an idea. It is semi-functional. So you can, this is our landing page. No, I got it. So you can choose between if you want to be a mentor, and you have the application. And you can register down here, click, so you can be submitted. I'll bring us back to the home page. And it's the same thing for the mentees. You click, scroll down through the application, you can register. And I'll just bring us back. And then if you read more, there's some of the mentors. So this is just a search for mentors. So you can click on here, a drop-down menu comes for hometown. And then if you click on a mentor, you'll have her profile. And if you press connect, you could match. And that's pretty much, I think, everything I did on that. There you go.
So now for our actual website, let's go. Okay. Is this it? All right. So based on our designs, this is what we were able to come up with. So we're going to go through, this is the landing stage. You get there and, wow, I'm so interested. I really want to find a mentor. So I'm going to become a mentee. This is what the login page is like. Just spare you the time of not watching me fill this out. We already have a mentee. Back to login. So once you log in, you can go to find mentors, and you have a whole list of mentors here. So say you wanted to filter by your hometown, so Ottawa. Search. There's 2 people. Oh, this person looks great. I'm going to message them. I can't spell. Sorry. Whatever. Hello. And once the mentor reaches back out to you, you've made a connection, and you can hopefully go on your way of building a professional connection and get your way into the world. So, yeah, we have one representation though. Oh, just go from here.
So we have developed a website, but we still have some steps that we need to go on for the future, so that we can develop the website even more. So the website is quite basic right now, so we could develop, it's a really good idea to develop more content pages. So having more pages to explain what being a mentee is, what being a mentor will look like. Also expanding on the application process and having a frequently asked questions page for the mentees and mentors so that they know what they're getting into and they can have any questions answered before they really make the final decision to apply. Another idea is to add social media links so that there can be ideas of what's happening with this organization. We should create a user manual for Amy to explain how to approve mentors and mentees. So reading through the applications, finding out who we would like to actually have here. There is a bug. We cannot, there's more than one bug, but we cannot upload profile images. So you're kind of a floating gray head until that can get fixed. And the last one is search engine optimization. So the website actually being able to come up on Google. Yeah.
And that's it.
Thank you for listening.
Any questions? No. Amazing.
Good job, guys.
All right, so thanks, guys. That's fantastic. It's almost a good prototype, fully functional prototype. Fantastic. All right, so team OCASK is up next. Woo! We should on the drive.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Technology.
It works.
Or your voice.
It works, guys. It works.
Let's go to land. Organized by landmarks. How is it? There you go.
Hi.
Shit.
Go on the main screen.
Yeah! I think that's where the problem starts, right?
I just want to be on the show notes.
Oh, well, yeah.
Anyway.
We'll figure that out.
Come on, Denise.
You want to start with putting it up? Why don't you start with the website up?
Okay, so we are working on the OCASK program. OCASK is Ottawa Carleton Assembly of School Council. So basically they try and advocate on behalf of school councils and communicate with the board and try and communicate what the board is doing to school councils, which is often not transparent in non-readable PDFs. And anyway, they have a lot of issues that they're really trying to help parents navigate through. So,
trying to move from the paper world. There's a lot of paper. We heard that sometimes they get paper packets of 150 pages that they have to consume in less than a week so that they can make important decisions about what's happening with their child's education. So we'd like to bring them into the digital age.
So they identified a whole lot of issues that they were having, and basically they expressed that if we could solve just one of their big problems, then they could focus on the more important problem, which is really trying to communicate with parents what was happening at the board level. So we kind of probed and decided that one thing that would be really helpful to them is to coordinate between schools. So like every school does a bake sale, and lots of schools do movie nights or book sales or school councils. Everyone needs to know how to submit an annual report or how to book a space. And then there are a whole lot of sort of knowledge items that are common to all schools, and they were doing a lot of like fielding of answering the same questions to 200 and however many schools there are in Ottawa. So we decided to build a knowledge database that would help them disseminate the information that was needed for the schools to do what they wanted to do. So this is their old website, and as part of the package, we designed a new website for them.
So yes, Erin was able to do this morning. She applied a WordPress theme, giving it what we've heard is a sleek new look for this organization. Beautiful. Beautiful. And so here are the things we did. First, we needed to look at their existing content set, so see what they have and what they wanted to do with it. How they could convert some of that content into nice little chunks of how-to information based on keywords.
So they had this knowledge library, or this kind of list of knowledge that they wanted to be able to make public to people. And so we, non-developer people, designed, well, Denise did the wireframe, to try and bring this out so that they could just direct people to how to run a bake sale at a school, how to get the right permissions, how to hire security, whatever it is.
Right, exactly. We also wanted to allow our subject matter experts to be involved. So by using a Google Sheet with all their assets that they wanted to build, they themselves put in the short descriptions with some guidelines on how to do that, and as well as keywords. So that now when people go to the site, they'll be able to click on any keyword and see all the assets associated with it. So that gives it a lot of functionality and a lot of potential for growth. They'll be able to add assets very easily and edit them and approve them. So we're going to, in the future, work on how we're going to manage that. Balsamic, as you can see, was used to create the wireframes, and that was fairly straightforward. We were also looking at consistency. The content model turned out to be a little more of a challenge than we thought because we wanted to make it manageable. And our technical team sort of guided us throughout the afternoon yesterday to say, okay, this is what we can accomplish, what you can do. But it is extensible, so they can make adjustments as we go forward.
Okay, over to the coders.
Cool. Front end?
Sure, I can talk to the front end. The front end, let's see what the slides look like. Excellent. There's one front end slide. Good. So the front end basically was based on the wireframe that Denise mocked up. And what we did was try and make basically a JavaScript-powered web service that would allow users to log in, and when they're authorized, mainly administrative users, update content, look at the entries, and eventually publish those entries so that the public users can look and search and find the things that they need help with in an easy way. So you can see here there's a mock-up of one stage of the site that we were developing, and it's a little bit further along than that now. But there's an example of the beautiful login page that's ended. Talk about the back end.
So for the back end, what we needed to do was we needed to create an API that would allow the data to go back and forth. So I did a little mock-up here of the infrastructure. So we actually, everything's in all the sources in GitHub, and then we leveraged as much of AWS as we could because Random Hacks has an awesome connection with AWS. So we used the code pipeline and code build. We containerized the back end so that it can be scaled up and down super easy. And that all goes to the outside world, and that's kind of the top part that you see. And then the bottom part is the front end deployment, which is pretty much the exact same thing. So it's a pipeline that uses code build and then deploys it to an S3 bucket and uses CloudFormation to allow everybody to access it. So the things we had to look after when we were looking at the REST API were we needed to get all the endpoints together. We had to make sure that they authenticated properly so that only certain endpoints were accessible to the public. And we needed to do some data validation to make sure that people didn't game the system. So that was kind of the back end. And I guess we can show you as well the actual, what we got to in the site, which will, just 1 second. Where do I drag to?
Going over 2 screens before.
Which one?
Yeah, left.
That thing there?
Yeah.
No, that's a desktop.
You have to go 2 screens to the left.
2 screens to the left. There we go. There we go. All right. So one of the interesting challenges that we faced when we did this is that we had 5 or 6 people working on the back end, and we only had 2 people on the front end. And none of us are real graphical designer type people. So.
But we're looking for help.
Yeah, we'll need somebody. This is like yesterday. Yeah. This is yesterday. Oh, let's do a refresh. Caching problem. There we go. All right. So this would be our login page, and then here, this is where you would actually see the details. This is all built with an Angular front end, by the way, for anybody who cares. And then you click on knowledge thing, and it gives all the description of the knowledge. This long description part would normally be a lot longer, and then hopefully a lot prettier. That page was actually Chen scrambling the last 10 minutes of coding availability he had. And then update content is where you would actually choose, put your content in. Normal users can only create content and not publish it, and then an admin can come in and review and publish if necessary. And that's where the My Knowledge section would come in. This endpoint isn't working at the moment, but it would be, the user would be able to come into this part and see all their approved and unapproved all knowledge items, so they would have that access. And then
You can also search here.
Yeah, you can also search through things. So if you want to, does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to find community stuff, that would be there. Also, you could say, you know, I'm looking for yoga, and you would have a yoga.
That was last minute fix.
Good old Chen. Thank Chen for that. So that's the basic operation of what we have for this portal. Again, we want to make it prettier. Some of the other next steps is we need to put in the admin functionality so they can actually approve things and add users, stuff like that. Can anybody else think of next steps that you want to do? Or yes, design. I think we can't stress that one enough. But yeah, so that's it. Brett.
Quick question. Do you have to sign in to get access to the knowledge?
So the approved ones, you do not. Those are available to the public to search through through the portal. But yeah, so in order to create content and approve it, you have to be signed in.
And then the tagging there, I think, did I see some tagging too in the content?
Yeah, so when you're creating the content, we had a long, wonderful debate of how we wanted to do these keywords, whether we wanted to do some kind of cloud tag cloud, or if we tried to layer them and structure them. But yeah, so what we landed on, at least for this iteration, is a tag cloud to try to figure out those keywords. And then hopefully by the end we'll have something like auto-completing keyword entry, that kind of stuff.
Would it be tagged, would you use that to tag to, like, say, local things, or like this content is good for the West End or the East End?
Right. So some of the tags that were in there were things like for evening stuff versus school time stuff, for adults versus students.
Parents,
you know, those. So just kind of like filtering type keywords. And so when you're looking at the knowledge, that could potentially end up being one of the things that you can filter down on.
And would this be for like? Would you imagine that just be for like the OCAS sort of jurisdiction, or would you see like all national, all in one system, or would they be like siloed, the different sort of, I guess?
If we wanted to scale this out to not just OCAS.
Yeah.
I think that we would work with OCAS to determine what they felt the best solution would be for that. Right. If a national solution, like an intermunicipal solution would be something that would be viable to everybody, or if that might end up being too cluttered and not specific enough to regions.
Think about it like the bike program where they were talking about having something they could bundle and share with another jurisdiction.
Right.
So it could go either way, and I think, yeah, we would work with OCAS to figure out what the best solution for that would be.
We did a bit of exploration, and there really wasn't anything that quite did this. So it's quite possible it could be unique in that sense. But some of the content holdings are universal. Like, how do you plan a fundraiser? There's no policy framework for that, so you could pretty much write that content and share it very easily. And some things are more policy specific, so there would be an OCAS flavor to that, but then another jurisdiction could add their own.
Yes?
I imagine in this mountain of information, there would be a stack of information specific to your school. Is that built into this, or will in future would there be a
not at the moment
possibility of doing that?
It was, I think, one of the requirements that you ended up talking with OCAS about. It didn't get built into this iteration. Yeah, so so there's school here, but the back end doesn't support it yet. Shouldn't be difficult to implement that.
Just thinking about parents.
Right.
No, sure. We talked about perhaps having sort of a map interface to help people sort of locate by geography and bring up data that way, but that would be a future enhancement. Okay.
And just to add that OCAS works with school councils. That's our main client, not necessarily the parents, but it is a parent. It's a dual role.
So parents are worried about their school bus.
Yes.
And I think that was part of why the decision of having the knowledge be public was made, so that parents could still access it.
Exactly. Sorry, I'm just adding.
One thing we learned in this process was that the board content delineates very much by school, and we learned that you can't actually search across the board, the school council pages universally with the tool that exists. So we asked that the group focus more on that horizontal perspective because there is nothing right now. You can deep dive into your school if your school is sophisticated, but you cannot easily navigate across the horizon of what all the schools do. So we asked them to sort of focus into that space instead.
Yeah. Any other questions? Cool. Thanks, everybody.
I'm going to invite Adrienne up. Okay. So this is a particularly fun project. So for those who weren't 100% aware of what was going on, throughout the weekend, Adrienne and I and Brandon, we worked on a deeper dive into random acts of kindness itself and some of the informational challenges. So it's really fun. I won't talk any more about it because Adrienne's going to talk through it, but it's really exciting stuff. Okay. In the drive, I imagine? Yes. Cool.
So just that.
Yeah, it's over on the front. One second here.
Cool project.
Project X.
This way? Just so many screens. Okay, almost done. Okay. Thank you. Slide by slide.
Okay, so I'll start a little bit. So I don't have a cool demo. This is basically just an exploratory project that I took on. I'm a UX designer, which is user experience designer. And what that means is I study users, how they behave, what their motivations are, what their tasks are, what they're trying to do, and then try to fit the solution to those findings.
That. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, I'm not a tech person. I don't have a demo. But the project is called Project X, Hacking the Hackathon. So let's see. So as Brett mentioned, it's a problem that he and Brandon came across running this hackathon. The problem being, why is it difficult for social good organizations and tech design expertise to connect? They didn't pitch this on Friday, but they had mentioned to me before the hackathon, so I decided to take it on. And I was a lonely team of one. But this question is specific to RHoK, but also could apply to other local initiatives and applies internationally. And through the research or the brainstorming, we found that there are kind of three bodies around this question. The first is the social good organizations, and then there's the tech design expertise, and then there's the connectors. So initiatives like the hackathon, like Civic Tech, like Intact, which is like a career-based connector, as well as other local initiatives that mean to push social good problems and connect them with problem solvers. And so going back to this question, the way we approached it was by mapping some of the experiences that were going on by each of these bodies. So we call it a journey map in my field, which means that you just map what each audience is going through in their experience, the experience here being connecting to tech design expertise or connecting to a social good issue to work on. So the first journey map is the connectors. So this is from the perspective of Brett and Brandon. And so the journey maps are usually a little bit more complex looking than this, but the goal is to identify tasks, like a sequence of tasks, and then what subtasks exist beneath. So along the top is the bigger level tasks, and then on the stickies are the subtasks. And then the exercise, the key point of the exercise is to identify what are called pain points. So what about their experience is really difficult? What is a hurdle? What is getting in the way? So the way that's identified here is with a little black tape on the sticky notes. So for the connector, their experience is around finding and sourcing challenges, setting up the challenge with organizations, finding experts, and then doing the work and connecting the people together. Their main pain points are around basically finding the challenges and speaking the same kind of language as the organizations. From the tech designer perspective, the stages are finding a project or a challenge to work on. And Brett mentioned that maybe there's a stage before this where it's about becoming aware that their expertise is needed somewhere else, more valuable to some organization. And then connecting with a challenge or an opportunity or an event, choosing or specifying the challenge that they're working on, contributing, and then afterwards making the connections and choosing whether they continue on with the challenge. The main pain points for the tech and designers are around finding organizations or spending time finding organizations and feeling frustrated that they're spending time finding rather than actually working on the problems. And then from the organization's perspective, there are lots of pain points. The sequence is first identifying the problem, searching for help, becoming aware that there's help out there, getting help, and then post getting help. And then the key pain points here, there are many more than the other audiences, as you can see, and you'll see that we focused on solving the pain points for the organizations during this weekend because they just have so many. So in the problem identifying stage, we find that they have trouble even being allowed to identify a problem or a new problem because so many problems exist that by bringing up something new, it's just adding to a whole list of unmanageable, unaccomplishable, seemingly problems. So for them, it's not easy to identify whether a solution has a clear return on investment against all the other problems that they have. Like, is this problem worth solving? Is the solution worth the investment? And then there's also a lack of promotion about tech and design help within their social sphere. And then once they become aware of help being available, it's difficult for them to phrase the ask in a way that that they understand is doable to the tech and designers. So they're not able to, or it's not easy for them to determine what's possible and what's not possible. Getting help. So if they are lucky enough to find an event like this, maybe they have a lot of trouble preparing for the hackathon. They've never worked with tech people or design people. They've never heard what a hackathon is. You know, it's kind of a jargon term. So for them to come and be a project leader, it's not clear to them how to lead a project, what materials are helpful to their team, as well as what tools and materials to bring. And the last one, or the second last one, is making a good pitch. When they come on the Friday, how do they engage well with their audience who speak a very different language than their colleagues do? And And then after the hackathon, they have trouble spreading the word easily. They want to share their story because they know lots of organizations face these kind of tech and design problems, but they don't have an easy way to share their stories. So looking at this, I kind of summarized it into 2 questions. How might we lower the barriers to entry to help that's available? And then how might we increase awareness about the help that is available? So the first question is focusing on the awareness of help and getting help stages. And the solutions that I propose is about including an entire section on the website just for the organizations and submitting a project. So things like things like the value proposition. So why should organizations sign up? What to expect after they sign up, during the hackathon, after the hackathon. Example projects so that they get a better understanding of the scope that's possible within the weekend. What makes a good hackathon project, projects that don't work well. And a lot of this content that I've listed here, it's already on the website. It's just about, the recommendation is more about making it more findable and easy to spot on the website. And then it's also working with organizations to come up with a priorities list. So the organizations don't have the tech expertise to say, this is what we want to do exactly. They don't have the terminology for that. So for hackathons like this, it'd be helpful if they had a tech advisor that came in and teamed up with an organization to say, with their tech knowledge, determine a list of priorities that they think is doable within the weekend, or at least, most important to least important within the weekend. And then once organizations are selected for participation, provide them with an actionable checklist. So things that they need to do for the organizers, like register for the event, submit the content for the website and social media, things they can do to make most of the experience, things to bring, and an explanation of what the work environment is like, things not to bring, as well as things to include in the Friday pitch to make it meaningful to the tech and design audiences. And the second question I mentioned, how might we increase awareness about the help that's available, applies to a lot of the pain points that we identified. And the solution that I propose is, or actually Vera helped me come up with this solution, that we could create very quick videos that the organizations could take home with them back to their organizations for them to share with their network. Because we as tech and design people, we don't have the network to create those connections. But if the organizations reach out to their networks, they have lots of connections to other organizations and other social good initiatives. If they have an easy way to share their story, and we enable them to do that, maybe the word gets out a little bit faster and a little bit easier and better. So the idea is to give each organization, after they participate in a hackathon, a story package. So a short video documenting their experience throughout the hackathon, and after the hackathon, photos of their team working and the end result, so that they have this material on hand to share. And then with more organizations sharing their experience, receiving this help and this kind of help, it helps other organizations become more familiar with what's out there and what's possible. So the idea is that at the end, they have an easy way to share, and then it feeds into other organizations and their pain points at the beginning of their journey. So I came up with some criteria for the story package. It has to be customized for each organization, which means that you're not mixing several projects together, and it's not a promotional video for the hackathon. It's a promotional video for the organizations to promote the kind of experience that they had. It has to be easy to share, which means low file size, short video length. And you need to provide context about what a hackathon is, what the organization does, what the challenge was, because if it's on social media, it can get kind of lost in context, right? So we need to keep that context kind of bundled up with the content. And also help the new organizations watching the videos understand in their own language what's possible to do in the weekend, that there is a return on investment, and that it's not required for them to have tech and design knowledge to participate. And we also wanted to include lessons that the organization learned throughout the process. And that kind of feeds back into the return on investment as well. So next steps is to create and distribute these story packages for the participants today. That's why I was kind of creeping around with the webcam right there, really awkwardly. And that way we can kind of use it as a prototype to see what kind of impact it has, kind of rippling out, whether those stories, the length works, the format works in sharing this hackathon experience forward. And recruit tech advisors to assist defining the scope with the organizations, and then doing also a deeper investigation into the other pain points that I identified, those for the connectors and for the tech and design folks. And then the last one is to make the lessons learned today, yesterday, Friday, for future RHoK chapters or other similar events happening where they're trying to engage the same kind of audiences, so nonprofit organizations or social good organizations, tech design folks, and the connectors. And that's it. Any questions? No? Yes?
That was amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
You just like held up a mirror to what it felt like to sort of jump in blindly into this experience, and you encapsulated a lot of, I think, what the organizers did for us when we that was just incredible to see that you put that together in a couple days. So thank you for that.
No problem. I mean, I think it was really easy because you were all here. It's really rare or really difficult for people in my profession to have really direct access to their users. So it was really great that all of you were here and willing to talk to me and let me film you. So it made it really easy. So it's a good environment for this project. Any other questions?
Yeah. I actually had goosebumps listening to some of that. I mean, it's fantastic. I usually don't say this, but I usually don't actually pick a favorite project in a weekend. That's my favorite project. Okay, next up, Vilo Venier. Come on up. All right, we get everything up here, don't we?
We're going to want to connect my
Your bike? Oh, sorry.
We're going to want to connect my laptop as well too.
Okay, we can definitely do that. So what I'll do is, you want to do the laptop now?
Later after that.
Okay, so where's the demo? This one. Who's doing it? There's a deck? Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure of that. Is it this one?
Yep, that's the one.
Okay. So when you want to plug in, this computer, just unplug this here. Okay.
Hey everybody, we are the Velo Vanier bike group. As you can see, the Velo Vanier group is it's a bike share based in Vanier. It's a free program that allows the residents of Vanier to take out bikes on loan, and there's a Roseanne and her group are very generous in repairing and preparing all the bikes so that families can really become part of the community. And the purpose of the project was basically to try and help build somewhat of an inventory tracking system, because some of the bikes come in and are very damaged or unusable, or need some repairs to be able to be used by families. So a lot of the tracking was done by paper or by spreadsheets, and so our task was to try and build a system that Roseanne and her team could use to track all the bikes and make the operation a little bit more fluid. So.
Okay, yeah, so as Roseanne explained in the bike share, we had a clear problem. She manually stores all of the data, so things like the users, the bikes, the accessories history, photos. So this is very long and tedious, and her information was, let's say, disorganized, to be kind. So in order to solve this issue, we wanted to create a database, and we could store all of this information as well as an interface so that we can manage the bike loads.
So what we did with the other two designers in the team is that first we mapped out the journey of a bike, how a bike is being handled. It's really small, but how a bike is being handled from its status of being available, which is parked in the bike parking lot, and traveling all the way through the people borrowing the bike for 4 weeks, and then going back on repair, and ended up back in available again. Then there are additional flows that includes a newly donated bike, or sometimes when a bike goes beyond repair, it goes into the scrap parts. So with this in mind, we are able to turn this journey into a wish list, which we prioritized with, what can we finish ideally in 2 days and in a longer run, and then maybe in the future when Roseanne returns, there are other features that we can tap into. So what you will see in the demo is the list up there, and I'll pass it on to the demo.
Oh. Okay, probably not the most interesting part, but from all this we needed to model the flow and their existing data into some sort of database. So we're using MySQL up in the cloud, obviously. So we came up to this. The main entities are our bike and user at the moment. And then the history keeps track of scheduling and all this. You can notice on the far side, accessories aren't attached to anything yet because we didn't get that far yet. So that's where that is. So once we had this model, we had to actually import the existing data from all the spreadsheets, which takes in the whole cleansing and cleaning and importing. And so we got a lot of it in, the bikes, photos, and some history and other things, users. So that's sort of the back end right there. Sure.
So this one, right? Oh, it's all attached. Got it. Oh no. Shoot. I'll move this and put it over here. Okay.
Well, I gave you the wrong instructions. Are they working?
Oh, it's up there.
Move it on screen to the left.
It's just that.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Lots of them.
So many bikes.
All right, so we were able to, first of all, thanks to the amazing data team, import all of the existing bikes into our database. And so basically, as you can see here on sort of like our bikes page, you can search for specific bikes if you know, for example, the brand that you're looking for. Oh, God. Okay, let's just pretend that didn't happen. The search does work, in fact. Okay, let me try something else. So you can search for, yeah, okay, so you can search for like a specific bike by the tag number. You can also search by status. So for example, you can look for bikes that are being tested at the moment. Maybe there aren't any. Bikes that are in repair. They're there, it's just slow. Okay. Oh no, because I have this on. Okay, should have practiced this more beforehand. But the point is, we have all the bikes in here, and some of them don't have photos. But for example, if you want to look for the bikes that are in repair, and you're not filtering by anything else, you can find the bikes that are in repair, and then actually go in and see what items need to be repaired. So for example, on this bike, lights need to be repaired. So we'll take you through a little bit of the process of how this would work. So first of all, a person comes in and they want to borrow a bike. So we have a form to sort of create that user. The main restriction is that the users need to be in the Vanier area, which means that they need to have a postal code that's verifying their postal code. So once you create a user, you have some information about the user. Then the other thing that can happen is that someone can donate a bike. So let's say someone brings in a bike. We have a form to add the bike. I'm not going to fill it all out because it's a bit longer. But essentially, yeah, you add in all of the details about the bike, what size it is, you know, you can add the photo, and then basically what you end up with is sort of what I was showing you before, like one of these sort of like profiles of the bike. As you can see, there's a barcode that's generated. So this represents the sort of the idea of the bike. So once the bike is in the system, now when someone, for example, borrows a bike and brings it back in, and you don't have to search, as you can see our search is still a little bit, but you can actually go over to the bike and scan the, I showed that, right? Okay. So the last thing we want to demo is the process for actually loaning out the bike. So, you know, in the future we would like to have sort of, we're missing some of the connections between the processes. So ideally once you select the bike, then there's like a loan button where you go straight to the loan thing, but right now it's not hooked up yet. So you want to demo this? So also we designed this for mobile first, so we want to also demo how it works on the phone.
Yeah, as we just mentioned, because one of the biggest challenges is we want to be able to use the system on the phone, because somebody comes in and wants to test a bicycle, and then we want to have ability to fill out the form. So we try to have everything available on phone. So you can see everything is actually phone friendly or responsive. So I can search for the name of the borrower. So I search my name and press next. And now somebody comes in and actually rent out one or two or multiple bikes. So I can search. And the search works here.
It works on the other page too, it really does.
So I selected 3 bikes, and so the loan date is automatically selected, and then again automatically the return date would be just 4 weeks, but still I can change it. And then I can say if somebody borrows a helmet or maybe 3 or 4. I shouldn't. Sorry. Got that one. So next, I can say if they want to have logs and what is the code of the log. So I can have multiple logs. And then, so one of the biggest needs for this system is they want to take a photo of the person who is going to borrow the bike, with the bike, to have this sort of community history and also a kind of proof. So again, because the biggest challenge is having ability on the phone, so we ended up building this functionality, taking photo on the phone right away. Here we are. So again, wait. I don't, for example, let's say this photo doesn't work properly, so I can take it right away and do a video there. And then go there. Press snakes and done. It's not working.
Is there anything else from this? Yeah. Okay, so that's it for the demo. Everything works.
Uh-oh. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so just a few, like this is just a start that, like, for once we have this everything now, still there's so much more we can do with this, and they have all the data, and there's just like, the possibilities are basically endless at this point. And these are a few things that came out of this exercise, the features that we did at the beginning that we hope that someday they will also have. So things like sending automatic notifications to the borrowers to remind them that their return date is coming up. Things like now that they have the data and they could have the history of the bike and the history of the borrowers and everything, we can start to generate reports about, for example, how many bikes were borrowed this summer, how many bikes do they usually need, and that way they can do better planning and, you know, plan for whatever needs they have. Other things, so when new borrowers come in, they have to take their email and their phone number. Right now they do the authentication manually, so things like doing that automatically could be very helpful, especially when people come in with kids and things like that. So it would be helpful if the system can do anything automatically and not have someone have to worry about doing all of these things. And then, of course, there's the whole other part where the interface can be can be used for the community. So right now, the way it was built, it's just for the staff and for volunteers to manage everything, but in the future it can be used for the community as well. So anyone could log in. Obviously they won't have all the management permissions, but just something to maybe see the pictures, which is very important to Roseanne and her team. Just know what bikes are available, maybe like reserve bikes. Maybe they can extend their loans through the portal. Maybe they can, I don't know, like at this point, these are the ideas that we had, but anything else could come up in the future to be used in the community. Yeah, and I think that's all we had. This is Roseanne's team. It was great working with her this weekend. She was very helpful in telling us everything that she needs and describing the environment of how they work really nicely. So, I think I speak for everyone when I say that we really enjoyed working with her.
Are there any questions? I was wondering what front-end framework was used?
React.
React?
And Bootstrap.
And Bootstrap, okay.
Other questions? Okay, thank you.
Roseanne, how's that for a team? Wow. Staggering. Amazing. Okay, couple more projects. So Street Smarts, come on up. Okay, so
Never tested this HACKATHon before.
okay, so you're taking over here?
Yeah, is that okay?
That is fantastic. Yeah, by all means, yes, of course. So, okay, here, let's just do this. I'm going to actually put this on that sandwich. You can see it. Okay.
Select source, HTML1,
Technical difficulties.
Thanks.
Read it. Good deal.
I'll HTML1.
Do your function thing. This one.
I think so.
Or try the other one. What's that?
Here, let me try. Go ahead. Oh, I gotta turn it on.
Presentation. Or mirror. Crashy. Is that on your shared drive?
Yeah.
Let me pull it up here.
Yeah, just the presentation.
You can keep working on getting the demo ready. And I can keep that there. Keep that there. Because this is HTML2, so I can get that going, okay?
Yeah.
Wait, but we also have the prototype, which is...
Yeah, he can do that on his computer, okay? And while he's restarting there, I'll get the presentation up onto these screens, okay? Okay, so you're controlling this on these two screens, and then as soon as this demo goes up, it'll go on these flash screens, okay? Okay?
Okay. So I'll be fully ready in a minute, but for now, hello. We are Street Smart. I'm Daniel. This is our team. So as a reminder, our overall mission is to, Jack and John found this, and others found this this potential match between companies looking for skills that teens on the street could potentially have. So with that in mind, we want to help the teens match up using a mentorship or a sponsor to match up to a company that they could be compatible with and help them get off the streets. So it's overall our mission there. Okay, so we started by mapping out some user journeys, and we found, we started with the overall business model. We found that there are 4 users. There's the candidate, the teen on the street, for example, and there's the sponsor or mentor that could relate to them, and we want to match them together. And as a team, we would want to bring them to the employer. And of course, we have the administrative role to look over all of this in the back end. So these are some example user journeys that we whiteboarded. We went through all the potential steps that each user would need. And there's 4 of these. And I guess that's about it for me, so I'll pass it to Joey. We started, one more thing is, so we split up into teams after we built the whole data model to make sure everyone was on the same page about the overall picture. Then we split up into back end and front end and took care of the back and front separately. So I'll pass it to Joey for the back end here.
Yeah, so for our back end, our challenge was how to handle and store the data. So we decided to pick MySQL for the database, and we did some custom scripts in PHP. So we quickly wrote user and registration system, and also we put in some mock data and had the ability to pass that on and encode it into JSON, and so that the front end itself could grab that data.
Mm-hmm. We have a picture here of some mock data that was generated. Okay, is that
I don't know.
So I'll talk a little bit about the mock data generation, especially because, well, we started from scratch, right? So finding that data and trying to make something out of it, a decent portion of our development this weekend was kind of ensuring that we have the actual data that we can work with to get it going. I am currently trying to get Hangouts working so I can screen share from my laptop to there, because my laptop doesn't play nicely with HDMI for some reason. So please stay on hold.
Yeah, just I wonder if you could get a link to the from. Maybe. Okay, I'll be right back.
Actually, if we plug it into my laptop,
Here. Quick second. Get it up and running. No, I'm just going to paste it.
Oh.
Thanks for your patience.
Here.
Oh yeah? Well, I'll race you.
Whoa. What's happening on your side? Oh, you're just...
You wanna work from here? Sure. I just press play here. Oh, my glasses. Just go for it.
So, for the front end, we actually started with building out some still wireframes, and basically we have mapped out like 3 different flows for one for the candidate, one for the sponsor or the mentor, and then the other one would be for the employer to create jobs. And so I'll show you what it would sort of like look like for a user to log in. So because this is a closed job board, in order to have an account, you can only get it through email invitation, both for the sponsor, the candidate, and the employers, because the vetting process is offline through StreetSmart and the person involved. So once they have an account login, they could log in at the first time login. They would require to verify their name, email, and accept the terms and conditions, and then add additional. It's not what I was looking for. Add additional info to the details. This is actually the candidate view, so they could add like which industry they're interested in, which agency they're affiliated with. So if they go to like Operation Come Home or Covenant House or something like that, and then a little bit about themselves. And then they could start searching for sponsors by cities or searching for jobs. So if they search for a sponsor, a list would come up, and then they could be able to view the profile of the person and get in touch. And same thing with jobs. They could look at jobs, a number of jobs coming up, and then look at the details, the job description, and then apply to it. So from these wireframe, we started just building out the actual demo for just the candidate, because we found out that they're actually very similar. But because of lack of time, we wanted to build out, at least for the user with the most, I guess, the most number of pages, and then continue on doing it for other type of users.
Let's see. So for the front end, we use React and Next.js for doing multi-page routing, server-side rendering too. So here is the Hangouts. Let's see if this works. I'm sorry, Brett. All right. Okay. Full screen. Let's go. So here is the menu prototype that we come up with, and when we log in. Right now, it's showing you the types of searches that you can do. So since we didn't have the server kind of up and running in parallel, we actually mocked the data. So we're kind of pulling that data in and displaying that.
Did you forget the password again?
You want to just like use the URL?
Sure. So we're just gonna do a little bit of that, because you know, security. Now over here, the CSS is not really loading. You can search by the city. We're just gonna do quick searches for that. So right now, here are the sponsors that you could connect to. So I'm logged in as a candidate, and each type of role would have to be an invitation only. From the admin. So once you get an invitation link, you sign up, and then afterwards, this is the view that you would see. So here are the sponsors that you could potentially connect to, and if you want to get more info on it, there would be more info on. And right now, this is also NetStark is our only sponsor. I don't know why he has so many identities. So going back to the search, you can also search through for jobs. And the idea is that you'd only be able to apply for these jobs once you've been kind of vouched by your sponsor. So there's that personal connection there, that journey of you kind of enlisting trust and kind of credibility just to apply and go on from there. Cool. The last stage, I guess, that we kind of came up with was this sign up flow. So you'd have to do the name, email, read some terms and conditions, and after that you'd be doing the other types of information that's required for the candidate. And I think that's it for the demo. Thanks. So,
I think we should
steps? Yeah. So, so there's lots of next steps. John here will go over a couple, but mostly finishing it up and actually hooking up the back end and the front end together. So we made so much progress on each, but alas.
Yeah. So one of our main next steps is to take this platform and bring it back to our agencies who we're currently collaborating with. So we are a startup, and this was kind of the first iteration of what this might look like. And so we have some validation to do with them and making sure that the process actually makes sense in a practical way and tested and validated. And so part of the next steps might be contacting maybe some of you guys again. And I just want to say our team has been absolutely incredible. Our small but powerful team has been focused all weekend. We're so grateful to have this because a few days ago we were at Operation Come Home and they asked us, Jack, what can we do for you? And so this is something we can now, literally the next week, bring them back and start to have a meaningful conversation and build our next steps with them. In terms of the other functionality of the website, having a capability to have a donor and onboarding system and registration, as well as a client onboarding system so that they can register and pay for courses, and then obviously build out the content to our website. Yeah, so that's about it.
Any questions? Yeah, questions. Okay.
Okay. Well, if you just roll it up.
Okay. Doing great. You have a computer there to plug in?
That's okay. Do you have HDMI?
Yeah. Yes. Probably on the outside screen. Do you have a deck too? Or?
We have a deck, but it's on. It's not on. Do you have access to our drive?
I do. If you want to just all on the WhatsApp, I'll just
Let's do it all.
There's no order. Just get out there. You want to go out? Just all over the laptop.
Differences to what?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
All right. Hey everybody, my name is Josh. I was part of Team 7 this year, which was the Growing Futures team. We're a returning team from last year, where we did a lot of the work that you're going to see today. And they were able to come back. They needed a little bit more of a push to get their project going in a more production-ready direction. So that's what our team was willing to help out with. So I'm just going to give a brief introduction here, and then I'm actually going to pass it off to Dua, who's going to tell us about what our system does behind the scenes.
Okay, so I'm just going to give you guys a quick overview of kind of how the whole system works end to end, just so that you have some context for what they're all going to talk about. So on the device, we have all the sensors. We have a pH sensor, water level, and I'm missing one. The pressure, water flow. And all of that is collected on the Arduino, which kind of just gathers all the data and packages it together. And the Raspberry Pi requests that data and gets it back, and all of this is sent over to our database in FlexDB, and then it's all kind of displayed on this pretty little data visualization tool, Grafana, with colors and graphs and great stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the overview.
So a little bit more context. This is what the towers look like over there. As you may see, they're scattered all over the city, as you might have noticed from the starting presentation. That is a mock-up UI that we got from Quinn. It looks beautiful. And yeah, that helped us a little bit to understand what they wanted for UI.
So back in April, the organization came in. We had that idea from the mock-up, but they didn't have any hardware and didn't know where to start. So we came up with a solution that was just presented to connect the Arduino to the Raspberry Pi. So we kind of laid down the foundation of getting something started. And we were almost there, but it wasn't working end to end. So that was one of the goals to realize today. Yeah, so we set up the infrastructure. We had a server spin up by Brett on the Amazon cloud, and the dashboard with the database.
All right, so last year we had a long list of goals, for those of you who are here might remember. From those goals we were able to accomplish creating the dashboard, creating the database. We had this group of amazing high school students that were able to work on the Arduino and getting that system together. And after the hackathon, one of those students actually decided to work with the organization afterwards for the remainder of the summer to put together this device and this really neat enclosure, which we'll show you in a few minutes. But there was still a little bit more work to do. So we had 4 goals that we wanted to get over, or 5 goals to get over for this presentation or for this hackathon. The first one was we needed to get some specialized information from the Arduino all the way to the Grafana instance called I2C. This was a new communication algorithm or system, I guess, that was being used in the Arduino controller. Thank you. Being used in the Arduino that wasn't set up in the original hackathon, so this was new information to us who were returning. We wanted email alerts and notifications of things were going wrong in Grafana, which we were able to set up as well. We wanted to tell if a tower was able to be on, or if a tower was on or off. This is good for if someone comes over and unplugs these towers. They need to know, and they need to know which tower it is so they can go and plug it back in so the plants don't die. We needed to set up a system so when a Raspberry Pi is plugged back in to the outlet, it just turns on and automatically connects to everything it needs to connect to. We're really close on this. We have this working on one of the machines. The others are hopefully coming soon. And we also wanted to show some live end-to-end testing, which, spoilers, we might have in this presentation. So each team member is going to talk a little bit about what they were up to for the presentation. I was responsible for the I2C communication, which responsible is like a... I didn't know what this acronym was until I started this weekend, so take that with a grain of salt. Most of my weekend was me looking frustrated at my laptop up until about 9 p.m. last night when we got things working, so that was good. But no, we were able to get, with Micah's work that he was able, Micah's the high school student who was working on this project during the summer, he was able to get the project really far. It was very close to being in a complete state. We just had to take that last little bit. So I was trying to figure out what he did over the summer and then how we were going to tie it into our existing Raspberry Pi framework. And this is a good picture of us. We were in this tight crunch. We were about to lose some data, and the device that Alexi's holding there on the right was like had 5 minutes of battery power left, and we were rushing to type things in, and I was clicking, and Duo was typing her password. It was a mess. We were frazzled last night, but in the end, it worked out pretty well. So Ali and Duo are going to talk about our Grafana improvements as well as the email alerts.
Okay, so we had some scenarios where human interaction may be needed. So we wanted to just provide a system where the user could get some email alerts if they needed to go on site and do something. So me and Andy kind of set this up. We have email alerts for situations where maybe the device was unplugged because people do things like that. So in that case, we would kind of just get something that looks like this, just a simple alert letting you know on your email that you might need to go and plug it back in. There's also some other alerts for like thresholds and stuff. I think Eddie can talk about that.
So yeah, if a sensor basically is getting a value that doesn't like make sense, such as these values for pH, which would mean that the plants are very dead. We want to email the person, tell them that the pH is bad and which tower has the problem, like that. So yeah, this is us.
Working hard.
That's a very important slide there. So this is the dashboard basic view. As you may have noticed, it looks very much like the mock-up, except not really, but yeah. So this is basically the view that the kids will look at, and well, if someone that just wants to like look at the what the project looks like and just like get some basic understanding of how it works, they will look at the basic view, and it has all the towers. We had this mostly working last time as well, but we basically cleaned up a lot of things with this and the basically more advanced view, the Growing Futures app view, which has more trends and more analysis of what's actually happening. And this is the alerts for the admins to set them up. They're not very human readable, but the admin would be able to, based on our documentation, add more alerts when needed.
So we're going to talk about the UI that we added to the LCD display that we have for the Raspberry Pi, so that when you go see the tower, you can know or see the values retrieved by the sensors. So right now that's the case or the Raspberry Pi that put in the tower. It has a few buttons like the basic navigation buttons and settings and a reset button. So it's the basic flow of how the system moves around. Sorry. So it's just a basic state machine graph. So when the program starts, just in the welcome state where it shows the welcome message that we saw, and after gathering data, it will end and be in the sensor state. In that state, we modified how it shows the data. So before it would just show all the data on the same screen. So now we just see like the water level in first, and then with the arrows you can move around and see the pump flow or the pH. If you click on the settings button, you just move to the setting state, which will show the IP address or the host name. It's more of a debugging tool to see if it's really connected.
And if you use the arrow, you can be in the calibration mode where when you hold the settings button, it'll start calibrating the pH sensor. The other button that I didn't talk about yet, the reset button, when just pressing it, it'll bring back to the sensor state. If you hold it long enough, it will actually reset the whole Arduino card. So if there's a problem or anything, you can just hold that button and it'll reset everything.
Yeah. So I think we can all agree that we had some ups and downs yesterday. There was a few issues encountered. This one is an example. So yeah, I ended up not doing much for the first half of the day. Then did some yoga. And then my computer finally decided it was ready. So because of that, I ended up working a little more on the hardware with Karen, and I did the schematic of what Micah did. So here's what you see the Raspberry Pi on the right with the Arduino on the left, and how it's connected with all the sensors. So that way it's easier to understand all the wiring. Because he had some notes of which pin was going to which sensor, but it was really hard for us to visualize. So.
Yeah, actually, on this, the communication line about the Raspberry Pi that we were talking about, it was between the Arduino and the Raspberry Pi specifically, so there were some problems in the firmware, and the communication of the firmware on the Arduino and the software Python script on the Raspberry Pi. So with Josh's help, we were able to make the communication work, and through that we just had to make some minor differences on the reset function. To implement that, we would have to connect some lines with GPIO, and some of the hardware don't speak in the same voltage level, so there was some like technical stuff that we had to handle. It was nothing major, but there was a lot of maintenance in terms of making sure that the device would power up properly because of the power supply and so on. Was a bit fidgety with the potentiometer and so on, but it worked out in the end. So the Quinn was immensely helpful in helping me set up the system correctly because of the steps that were documented was a bit fragmented. So Quinn actually worked with Micah over the summer, I think, if I'm correct, and he was able to actually recall everything exactly as it was, and everything he said lined up with the documentation perfectly, so I was able to actually make the right changes so that I didn't burn either Raspberry Pi or Arduino, which was a success, in my opinion at least. We were a bit frustrated. You can see Josh in the background being frustrated in general. Not his fault. The SD cards were not cooperating in any way, shape, or form. So we had a lot of downtime from the actual programming part of things because of the way we need to wait for the flash, the SD card to be flashed, and then wait for the image to be copied, and similar stuff. So Quinn was also helpful in that case as well. He was able to tell us how it actually happened, how the steps, what steps they took while Micah was building it. So it was good. And now I'll hand to Josh about the demo.
All right, so you're gonna just have to believe me here. We have the device over there right in front of Rebecca. It does work, it does send data, the controls do work. However, we had to unplug it to bring it over here. So instead, about an hour ago, 3 hours ago, we recorded a video for you. So here's a video of us working on it. So, all right. So this is the oh no, my voice is in this.
Getting you. We have it starting up here.
I'm worried about this. I don't remember what I said.
And now hopefully.
Maybe mute it and talk over
it.
Yeah, maybe I should do that. That's a good point.
I don't think the sound is transferring well.
I don't know if I can mute it here. All right, well anyways, so we're going through the steps of what this device does. So I was just showing here how you can reset the data. You can reset the device. It tells you when it's taking a sample, which happens at approximately every hour. I don't know how bad this sounds. Yeah, pretty bad.
Turn the speakers here.
Oh, that works too. So, let me restart. The device, once plugged in, automatically connects. Don't touch it. Did it just restart? Oh, I think it restarted. That's what happened. Okay, so yeah, we restart the device by holding the button to connect it to the Wi-Fi. Once it's reset, you can get some information about the samples. So right now it's collecting a sample. Okay. Anyways, it collects a sample. You have the ability to scroll through the samples it's collected with the arrows. And if you need to calibrate the pH sensor, you can just hold the blue button there. So that one worked really well. The video maybe not so much, but the demo itself actually did. So this is going to bring us to the second start of the demo, second step of the demo. And it's going to be interactive. So for all of you who have your smartphones on you, oh, you muted me. That's what happened. Sorry about that. For those of you who have your smartphones on you, pull them out. We're going to head to this URL, growingfuturesapp.ca. Those of you who are watching at home, you can do this as well. I may not have told the team I was doing this. No, I got it. Yeah, we're going to crash our entire app by doing this. So, yeah, definitely not going to happen. So, once you've navigated to growingfuturesapp.ca, you're going to default to this basic view here. At the top, you're going to see you have access to a tower name. I want you to click on that and then click on Tower 60. Tower 60 is our real live tower that is sitting over there with Rebecca right now. And a tub, yeah, in a tub of water. So you're going to see that the pump pressure is too low because there's no pump pumping any water through it right now. The water level is just fine, but what we're going to take a look at here is the pH, which is currently sitting at about, yeah, we're going to jump to a different view. You don't have this view on your phones, but just follow along. So the pH is currently at 7.44. Rebecca is going to take the pH sensor and dump it into some water that has a little bit of a higher pH. And as the tower takes a reading of the sensor data on your phone at the pH section, you'll watch that little bar will go up just a bit. Hopefully.
Within the next 30 seconds. So
Five. We changed it to 5.
Okay.
Yeah. So
hold your breath.
I'm going to make sure that the actual thing is still running. It is good. Okay. So we will watch this. Nope, it should get it eventually. The thing with plants is that they don't care about how often their pH changes when it comes to a second thing. So we only check every hour in the real world. But this data should change. But while we're waiting for it to change, we will just wrap up here. I think Rebecca's redumping. Okay, anyways, this does work. I promise. All right, so back to the presentation. Did it work? It jumped up? Yeah, excellent. Good stuff. All right. So just wanted to say thanks to the team. We had a really small team this year compared to what we had last year, but everyone put everything into it. We had a lot of fun and a little bit of heartache as well. Also, thanks to Growing Futures and Rebecca for coming and helping us out. It was, yeah, we had a great time. So thank you very much, and thanks to Random Acts of Kindness. And also, if you have any questions, let us know.
Yeah, right here.
All right, thank you.
Fantastic, guys. That was great. Thank you. Oh, you needed that. Okay, folks, that's it for the presentations. Thank you, everyone, for coming out to watch presentations. It's great that you could join us, take a couple hours out of your day. Thank you to all the participants for spending your entire weekend here working on great stuff. Thank you. Thank you to all the project owners and all the organizations that put in projects. It takes a lot of time to get prepared, and it's stressful and it's tough. And so thank you for that, and thank you for dedicating and just being great team leaders. And so that's fantastic. Couple last closing notes. Just drop off your badges with Emmett there at the front desk. Take them. I'm going to send a survey out tomorrow. Please fill it out. Share, if you haven't, share your contact information with your team if you intend to stay connected, or if you want to. If not, it's okay. Slack will continue to stay open. The hardware and all that AWS stuff will continue to stay up and running. We'll be doing another hackathon again in 6 months, hopefully here, and we'll be looking for projects. and it's going to be great again. So hopefully you can join us too. So all right, so bye to the live. We had like 15 or 20 people on the live stream, so it was great. It was awesome. Thank you, everyone. See you in 6 months, and thanks again for coming. Thanks.
Flag and stars.